Hello and welcome back to Business Happy Hour. All right, guys, we've got our coffee. So you can hear my ice shake. And we're getting into it today. So, um, right now, as I record this, I always like to give you like a real-time update. So right now, as we record this, we are in the middle of our live version of the Messaging Mastery Challenge. And it's been super fun so far. Everyone who's participating is incredible. I'm just loving it. And if you missed this and you're listening to this afterwards, oh my gosh, words are hard. If you're listening to this after whenever, I mean, yeah, if you're listening to this episode, it's over. Okay, great, cool. Moving on. Then I'm going to actually turn it into a mini course, which is going to be fun. So if you missed it, or if you want to go through it again, because honestly, the strategies inside are going to be really helpful to continue to go through and to continue to revisit as you create new offers, as you want to refine your offers, all the things. Um, so I'm going to turn it into a little mini course where you can have access to it. So all you have to do is message me mastery, and then you will get instant access. So I'll send you the link and you can get instant access to those videos, those trainings and the challenges. Okay. Um, all right. So let me guys, it's so funny. I feel like I always, whenever I listen to a podcast or like one of my mentors or something, and I was literally just about to be like, okay, make note to set up message so that people get messaging mastery when they DM mastery. Like in the past, I would have been like, oh my God, this is gonna like fuck with my authority. People are going to think I don't have it together. And then I would watch my mentors who are like seven-figure business owners and they take messy action and they throw things out there and they try things. And I'm like, you know what? I can give myself permission to take messy action too. Like, I can throw things together. I can throw things out there that feels good and I can still be successful as fuck. Okay. So I just want to give you permission to do that. Like, you don't have to have it all together. That's why you have your own business, right? Like, I literally was like, you know what? I knew we were going to turn it into a passive version. So we're running the live version of the challenge right now. But I knew that I was like, ooh, this is going to be a really good like entry point for anybody who wants to kind of like get into my world, get some quick wins. And then the challenge leads into Content Catalyst. So we are officially in Content Catalyst pre-sale. I am so excited. We already have two ladies inside who are going to be absolutely epic. They're going to do amazing. I already know it. And the ladies in the current cohort are just like, oh, my soul sisters. Love them. They're amazing. And they're doing so well. It's so exciting. One of the girls, she did a post that we talked about the other day, and she got 5 people DMing her the word that she said. And this was like a couple of days ago. So now at this, I guess this was like 2 days later, she's got calls scheduled with 2 out of those 5, and she's still talking to the other 4, or one didn't answer yet. And then she's still talking to the other 2. So, like, the potential of having 5 sales calls from one fucking post, guys, this is what's possible when you know how to create content that converts. I literally was like shaking in my boots when she told me that. I was so excited because I'm like, this is what it's about. Like, if you want to build an efficient business, this is how you do it. Content has literally taken years out of building a business. Like, what used to take you however long to build a business, content has shortened that time span because of the potential when you know how to market well. And I'm just obsessed with it because it's so fucking cool. And now, like, I'm building my real estate business using content. And it's just so fun and fascinating. And I love teaching it because it's wild. It's wild what you can do these days. And I just love sharing that with with you and with the world. So, we are officially in Content Catalyst pre-sale. And if you are wanting to join us, we're going to be starting our next round, which is going to be our spring summer round in May. Mid to end May. This is something else that I was talking about with like my Content Catalyst clients. They were asking me, they're like, how do you like plan out your year? And I'm like, I have a rough timeline. And we were talking about launching and like, how do you pre-fill groups? Like, how do you already have 2 people inside for the next cohort and yada yada? And I was like, kind of giving them the rundown and the behind the scenes and all the tea. And one of them signed up for the February cohort that we're in now back in like September of 23. And I took her through the process of like, she's like, how did you know when your next cohort would be? I'm like, I have a rough idea. You don't have to have the exact date. Like, it's okay to be like, we're going to start in May at some point, right? Like, I have my wedding, which is wild, coming up. Oh my God, guys, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I'm really shaking in my boots about that. Oh my God. I'm like not, I'm very excited, but like which is funny, you wouldn't think so, but I do not, it's not that I don't like the attention on me. I mean, I guess like I hate public speaking more than anything. That's why I just love the online space because I'm like, I can just chat with you guys without like 9 million people staring at me. And I know people are listening on the other end, but I don't know, it's just less pressure. So anyway, it's been anxiety ridden for me. And then, yeah, just getting all the details together and everything. Anywho, bouncing all around. So sorry. Um, one of the gals that joined for the February cohort, she joined back in September. And she was like, how'd you know? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I know roughly when I'm gonna have cohorts. I know roughly how many cohorts I want to have per year. At the beginning of the year, I set dates of when I want to do things, but it changes, right? If a group doesn't get as many people as I would like, I have the full authority to extend it 2 weeks out. Now, I never, ever, ever compromise client experience. So, say, for example, I told someone, oh, okay, this cohort's going to start on May 27th. And then I'm like, and that's why I don't give dates, like exact dates, because I'm not always sure. And like I was saying with the wedding, things are popping up all over the place. So I just want to kind of get a gauge of like how May begins and then um see what we want to do there. And that's the beauty of having a smaller audience. Like you don't have hundreds of people asking you, when are we starting? When are we starting? What are we starting? Like I get to personally message my clients and be like, hey, so here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. Let's find the time that works for you. Like the call time that we're going to do. And then we're going to start around here. In the meantime, I'm more than happy to give you access to the module so you can get started. Depending on the circumstances, sometimes I'll offer a bonus call, like always making sure my clients are taken care of. That's all people give a shit about, guys. As long as you make your clients feel like they're being taken care of, like they're being seen, like they're being heard, like you're not just like, oh, I took your money and now I don't give a shit. Like that's all people want. And that's what I prioritize. I just make sure that they feel taken care of, that they feel seen, that they feel heard, that they feel supported, that they feel like I am in their corner and we're going to work on this together. We're going to figure things out. We're doing the damn thing as a team. Okay. So that's not what I was planning on talking about today, but apparently my coffee is coffeeing. So let's get into the juice. So, what I wanted to talk about today is determining your income generating activities. Okay. So, a lot of times I find that people are very busy, right? They're like busy with all the things, but they're not actually moving the needle. And I don't want that to be you. I want you to spend your time, your free time in your life with your kids, with your spouse, with your dog, whoever it is, alone watching Netflix. If you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody, right? I want you to spend your time how you want to spend your time because when you're focusing on income producing activities, you know that feeling when you're like, oh, fuck, like I have this to-do list and I don't want to do any of it. And then like the whole day goes by and you're like, I literally could have gotten this done in an hour or 2 hours, but I just chose to procrastinate it all day. Like, I don't want you to feel that. I want you to be like, I know exactly what I need to do today in order to move the needle. And I'm going to get those things done. And then we're doing whatever I want today. That's the beauty of a freedom based business. Okay. So, how do we determine those things? For a lot of businesses, like we're all in a very similar realm, it's going to be similar. So, I'm going to share mine with you and how I determine them. Um, but I don't want you to have that feeling. And I don't want you to have that feeling of like, again, like when you say you have a to do list and it's like all the things and you're working on it and you're like, what am I like now in my brain? I'm constantly, and I want my voice to be in your brain too when you're doing something like, how is this moving the needle? And this is with like priorities too. Like I'll have a whole to-do list. And instead of just doing the little things, or I mean, if I can check it off quickly, I'll do that first, but to give me that like sense of accomplishment. But if I am wondering like, how should I structure my day today? I always go to what is going to move the needle most. So if I'm like, I really don't want to fucking write that newsletter or whatever it is, it's like, okay, well, am I going to write the newsletter? Or am I going to create content? As of right now and what I'm aware of, content is my number one income producing activity. So that's always going to come first. Okay. So, it's interesting because as I've dove dove into this world of real estate and navigating all the things and what it's going to look like for me and planning our wedding and planning our mini moon and going on my bachelorette. Like April's been a beast. I am literally busier than ever, but I am like so happy. I like love being busy. I really, really do. And not from a place of like avoidance of like, oh, I need to be busy to like avoid my problems. I just genuinely like Austin works a lot, and if he's not home, like I love my work. So I'm like, why wouldn't I work? Like I enjoy it, right? Um, and of course I take my breaks, I go on my walks, I get my coffees, I do my things. I get my workouts in, I do the things that bring me joy, but I just really love it. I really do. So where was I going with that? Um, April's been a beast. And I actually didn't realize before the real estate stuff how much I really was craving a bit more of a challenge. And I love the white space in my calendar. It gives me so much space. It gives me so much like mental headspace. It feels really good. It doesn't feel like pressure. Like I have a shit ton of white space in my calendar, but I found myself really filling that extra time with what I call like fluffy activities, right? So these activities that don't actually move the needle because my schedule was so open, I didn't have much urgency for that productivity. I was like not feeling as excited because it's like, all right, yeah, like there's not much needed from me. Like I needed a challenge almost. Which is something I never realized or I never thought I would say. And I would find myself posting about like, oh, look at all this white space in my calendar. And I'm like, do I even want this? And it was really interesting. So again, it's like I love the white space in my calendar. And it's so cool and beautiful to see that I'm able to build a business like this and that's not constantly demanding of me. But it also expanded me to see like, hey, you've built this thing and now you're kind of you're looking for another challenge. And this business has afforded me to be able to explore new opportunities that can expand me even further, which is so cool because I'm just someone who like I love to learn. I love to learn new things. I love to do new things. I get bored very easily, which I think is, I think it's a typical entrepreneur thing. Like you want to create a new offer, you want to do all these things, but it's also something to be aware of if you are like getting bored of things and then just ditching it. I had this conversation with a client the other day where I was like, I do not want you to like we're putting a lot of work and time and effort into this, like these emails, the launch, all these things. I do not want you to like say, for example, we filled the group to 5 and you wanted 10. I don't want you to be like, oh, it didn't work, right? We're so quick to be like, oh, that didn't work. What we're going to do is we're going to come back to it because that's not the fun thing. The easy thing, the good thing, not good, but like the thing that your brain wants is to ditch it and start fresh. Your brain is like new motivation, new things, ditch all of that. It didn't work. But the power, and what I told her is I have a client that we set up her webinar funnel back in, I want to say probably like November-ish, where she was getting people into her free masterclass from Instagram, from Reels, all the things. She doesn't have a crazy large audience or anything. And she got like one conversion from it. And then we shifted her strategy a little bit. We shifted the emails a little bit. And then in the past week, she got 2 intensives booked from it. So like that's $400 in her bank account from 1 week on top of all the other money that she makes from her other clients, obviously. Like this is just a passive sale. She set it up and now it just comes in and it's so fucking cool. But for a long time, that wasn't the case. She had one booked. Like she has to continuously commit and recommit to, okay, how can we make this work better? Where are people dropping off? What are we looking for, etc. So all that to say, we need to create income producing activities. Okay. So, with all this white space, like I just felt this need for a challenge. So now that I am a lot more busy in a good way, like I'm doing things, I'm learning a lot with real estate. It's so cool. It's so fascinating. It's so fun. And obviously I still have all of my things in my business that I need to keep up with. Um, I've had to reprioritize a little bit and be like, all right, what actually needs to get done here? What's actually moving the needle, right? And I know sometimes it can be hard to like determine that. Like sometimes you're like, I don't know if my Facebook lives are moving the needle or not. Um, and other times it's very clear, right? Well, it's like, well, nobody purchased from this email, or I put up this set of stories and I got 3 DMs from it, and it was really powerful, right? So, um, here is how I personally have prioritized my income producing activities. Okay. Now, this is going to be very different at different stages of business, but and if you want this personalized, I'm more than happy. You can book a 90-minute intensive with me, and we can do this together, and we can kind of determine, okay, where is your time best spent in your business to get you the biggest like bang for your buck, essentially. So, firstly, the number one priority in business is, it sounds shady, but like we need to diminish the aura around money and revenue being shady. But that is the number one priority in your business. Okay. Now, the reason is because we cannot do any good in this world if you can't keep the doors open to your business. And what keeps the doors open? Money. Okay. So when I think of my daily to-do list items, I am starting off with, how am I obtaining new clients? Okay. So for me personally, this is content. Content has been and continues to be my number one lead generation system. Okay. Now, this isn't like, oh, she's so sleazy, like making money is her number one priority. Okay. It's my number one priority because I want to help people, and I can't help people if I'm not making money. Like, this is my sole income source. Okay. It drives me nuts when people are like, oh God, like, look at what she's trying to do online, or not. I'm not saying about myself, but like, I hear people say this about other people, and I'm just like, how dare you? Like, this is their income. Why are you judging them for how they make money? They get to do that however the hell they want to. A lot of like multi-level, like MLM companies and whatnot, right? People are like, oh God, it's just lazy. And like, yeah, I don't love them either, but like, that's how people are making their money. Like, it's fucking hard out here. Everybody's going through shit. Everybody just needs to pay their bills. And why do you care how they're doing that? Right? Like, let people be. Okay. So we need to keep the doors open. So content is my number one priority. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that my clients are not my number one priority as well, because that also contributes to how I obtain new clients. Because the better experience I provide, the better my clients talk about me, the better results they get, all the things, which feeds itself. Okay. So my top two are really client experience and content. Um, and when I say that, like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, but at the same time, like before I create a piece of content, I'm answering all my clients in Slack, right? So they kind of go hand in hand. But when it comes to like answering my current clients and everything, that is definitely like number one for me. But when I'm talking about lead generation and how I get clients, content's definitely number one for me. So before I do anything else, I am making sure that my clients are taken care of, that I am answering their questions, all the things. And then I'm focusing on content. Okay. So how I determine, like, okay, we get it, content's a high priority for you. Then I'm determining the frequency of my content and what my strategy is at that season of business. So for me, my strategy varies because of what stage I'm in at a launch, what my intention on Instagram is. Is it to grow? Is it to convert? All the things. But ideally, I'm on my stories 5 to 6 days per week, and I'm posting to my feed a minimum of 3 times per week. Now, do as I say, don't not as I do. This past week's been nuts coming back from my bachelorette, jumping into real estate, all the things. But on average, I have about 3 posts per week. Okay. So once I check off the above, I move on to additional outward facing marketing channels. So for me, this is email list and podcast. I used to try and focus on all the things. I was like, how do I do SEO? How do I work Pinterest? How do I do TikTok, Instagram, email? Like that was a lot. And honestly, it just leads to watered down shit. I would rather you focus on one thing, one or two things. Okay. And honestly, things really started working for me when I did that, when I started focusing on one or two things. Okay. So now, almost 5 years into entrepreneurship, I still focus on only 3 marketing channels: email, content, podcast. Okay. And I'm not reinventing the wheel for any of this. Everything is some sort of repurpose, right? Because if I write a long form email, so email and podcasts are long form pieces of content, whereas Instagram, TikTok, X, like still getting used to saying X and not Twitter. um, those are all short form. So the way that people consume it is going to be different. So if the topic's the same, it doesn't matter. Stop trying to make it harder for yourself. Okay. I write one email that is one of my podcasts for the month, typically. I write my content, my posts, my Instagram posts, and I pull one that I'm like, ooh, that was really good. And I put it on the podcast because the way that you digest it, the way that you consume it's going to be different. Even if you're consuming all of the things from me, you're still going to get different tidbits from each piece. Okay. So we've got content, then we've got podcast recordings, email writing, and then also I bulk in there like sales emails and sales page copy. Okay. And then lastly, like I said, client experience. Now, my clients always come first, even before content. Again, like I put content first because that's just my number one lead generation strategy. And actually, client experience, like I was saying, is also income generating because the more and the better I serve my clients, the higher rate of client retention, the greater chance of referrals, the more results they have, the more that I post about their results, the more that people are influenced by their results, all the things. Okay. Each day of the week, Monday through Friday, on my to-do list, I have check in on Slack 2 to 3 times per day to ensure that my clients feel supported and taken care of. Okay. Every day I have these things on my list, unless I like already planned content for the week. But I should say every week I have these on my list, and then I break it out into daily if I need to. But if all of these are accomplished, then I know that I can move on. I know that there's always ancillary things that need to get done that go on my to-do list, of course. But I'm like, okay, if I do these things, if I show up in my stories today, if I post something today, if I show up for my clients, like I can feel like I'm good. I'm enough. right? Because I know there's this constant feeling in entrepreneurship of like, did I do enough today? Do I need to do more? Am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Like more, 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 more. And a lot of times it's not more. I always say you don't need to do more, you need to be more. Be more, meaning like where your feet are, like be where you are, be more in your life because you're going to have so much more inspiration. You're going to have so much more creativity when you're being more. Okay. So I'm curious after this episode, what you are going to solidify as your 3 non negotiable needle moving tasks in your business. Okay. If you are thinking, I would love for content to be a needle mover, but it doesn't really feel like it's moving the needle right now. I would love nothing more than for you to apply to Content Catalyst. It's going to be an epic round. I'm really excited. So if you don't know what Content Catalyst is, even though I talk about it every other day, like it's my literal child, it's my 8-week marketing mastermind. And what we do is I teach you my grow, nourish, conversion method. And this method has been crafted over the past 4 years of how I've built my entire nutrition business all through content, how I've built this business all through content, how I plan to build my real estate business all through content. Okay. Like content is queen. I stand by that. I will die on this hill for now, unless things change. But I would love for you to apply. We can chat all the deets. Send me a message. If you would rather just chat on Instagram, that's totally fine too. You don't have to send in an application. And yeah, DM me content and we'll get you going. And I cannot wait to talk to you guys soon. Bye.